Goa. As soon as you hear this name, there is always a sense of excitement, fun, and energy which gets associated with your mind and body. Well, that's natural since the way the state has an abundance to offer to travelers who can get what they are looking for. Primarily, Goa has been tagged as a destination of fun and party, with obviously cheap liquor, and it does have that side. However, there is another side of the state as well: solitude, long and clean, secluded beaches, experiential trips, immense marine life, and an amazing scuba spot in the Grand Island. Several islands that encompass can be visited as well. Rich culture and heritage, and walk through the Fontanas area. And last but not the least, out of the world food and a taste of local Goan cuisine. Located between the Indian states of Maharashtra to the north and Karnataka to the east and south, with the Arabian Sea forming its western coast, it is India's smallest state by the area. Panaji is the state's capital, while Vasco da Gama is the largest city. The historic city of Margao in Goa still exhibits the cultural influence of the Portuguese who first voyaged to the subcontinent in the early 16th century as merchants and conquered it soon thereafter, whereupon Goa became an overseas territory of the Portuguese Empire, part of what was then known as Portuguese India, and remained as such for about 450 years until it was annexed by India. So Goa has plenty to offer. All it matters is what you are looking for and do you know the right places to look for. We come today with one such experiential trip which we took to Divar Island on a hybrid cycle through the trip coordinator called Be Live. You can book this trip through Airbnb as well as through their website. So what are we waiting for? Let's go. Thank you.
Old Goa, what's the significance of this place and what makes it so special to Goa? Like, why do so many tourists come here? So now the current capital of Goa is Panjim or Panaji as we call it. And do you think that that is the first and only capital, or there would have been capitals much before that? Yeah, there might have been before, right? So exactly that's what happens here with Old Goa. Old Goa would have been the previous capital before Panjim. Hence it's known as Old Goa, because Panjim also gets a word in Portuguese known as Nova Goa, which means New Goa. So what happens is you would have had the Portuguese that came here in the 15th century. Now why does it get that name is because the third viceroy of Goa, so a viceroy for short is a governor to a UT. So how in a union territory you have the governor who relates back to the president and the government of India, right? Similarly, when you had colonies back then, the viceroy directly, guys put your mask on, there are thoughts for me. So back then you would have had basically, what do you call it? You would have had a viceroy basically replying back to the Portuguese government, to the Portuguese Senate, or whatever happened in the colonies. Yeah, sorry about that, I can't talk too much. Now up here in the main niche of this entrance, you have a statue of somebody. Who's that? It's a very famous statue. So leave your bikes behind and just walk to the other side. So now on this side, we have a very peculiar statue, which is basically a woman on top of a man, standing on top of a man with a sword and a book. So what do you think is going on here? Deep Asian difference. So it's not domestic violence about it, right? Right, they're playing a game of sword and books. No. So anyway, that's a good fight. They also have the head being up basically to show that this is the depiction of him and how we respect him basically for being a ruler before us. And yeah guys, that is basically the history about this place. Now we will take a small ferry ride and cross over to the island of Divar. Come. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Please don't ask me to translate what you're doing, so I don't speak English. So you can probably take a picture and you should get the
चलो चलो
Okay guys, everybody good to go? So officially welcome to the island of Divar. We've just crossed the ferry. A small note is the island does not have a bridge. So hence we have to take the ferry service. You can put the stand to it.
She say, I wanna know where I can go. I can get drunk with my friends.
All the villages of India, or rather all the states of India, have names, different names that make them unique. How do these names come about? Who picks these names? How do they get chosen for the place? Like for an example, how did Mumbai get named Mumbai? How did Bangalore get named Bangalore? Or another set of rulers known as the Kadamba dynasty. Have you heard of the Kadambas? They came from current day Karnataka. So the Kadambas ruled over Goa from the 10th century right up to the 13th century, and then you have the Amisha. When the Kadambas ruled over Goa, they would have basically had different capitals. So much even before Old Goa, you had Shardor and these other places, Goa, Velha were the capitals. And later they chose the island of Divar as a pilgrimage site, a Tirthan. And they would have set up many temples. So what a sluice gate is basically these doors that trap water or either block water from entering the island. Now majority of the island, that would be around 63% of the island, is below sea level. So that means all these areas flood up with water naturally when the high tide comes. These gates are meant to make sure that you can reclaim land and that the island doesn't overflood. So these gates originally would have worked by themselves. In a sense, they work on a pressure basis. So when pressure was formed this side, they closed the gate. That was water trying to enter the island. So pushing the
where the flowers grow, almond and peach trees in bloom. He would know just when the water's so golden and opportune. And he went, ooh, ooh, ooh. Tulips the color of honey today. It's true. Bombs going boom, ba ba ba. He said, yeah, let's go, come on. Tell them seraphim soon.
Well, you have colonizing, such as the British. But British before, because after they became Protestants. But Roman Catholic colonizers such as the Dutch and the Portuguese. When they came, you see when they built churches, they didn't have large acres of land basically. It was still a colony, so they had to do with what they had. So cemeteries became very small, which meant that if there were 1,000 people, they didn't have enough space to bury everybody in the cemetery. So they followed this common practice of niche system. Your right is when you die, you have the right to be buried. Okay? So you're buried for 3 years and your body is exhumed after that. But it is exhumed, and what happens to the bones now is not responsible to the church. So your family will plaque with your name mentioned. This maintains space, and the soil, or rather that plot, is reused again for somebody else to be buried. Now you notice in certain areas there are two people's names, so that means that they're the remains of two people. So this really maintains a lot of space, because you notice that on larger boxes you have sometimes 5-6 people's names on one. That's a family.
Bible would go where the flowers grow, almond and peach trees in bloom. He would know just when the water's so golden and opportune. And he went, woo, 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 woo. Tulips the color of honey today. Bombs going boom, 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 boom. He said, tell them seraphim soon. I come sailing a song by the light of the moon. Oh, I wanna know where I can go. I can get drunk with my friends. I wanna know where I can go. I can be home I guess we'll be raised on a road. 'Cause I wanna be with you till the road ends. I wanna be with you till the whole world ends. Hey, thank you, everybody.